Hello, and welcome to another episode of Artists on Lockdown. I'm the host today, Jordan Cowen from On Ice Perspectives, a previous guest on this show. But this show isn't about me. I just get to interview the creator of the show for which trailer you just watched, Mr. Steve Wheeler from Magic on Ice.
Hey
Hi, Steve.
Jordan, how you doing?
Hi. I'm doing great. I'm here quarantined in the UK. How about you?
Sounds like fun. Yeah, I'm good. I'm here in Vegas.
Awesome. So let's start by giving a brief introduction. I'll start with myself because some people might remember me from a previous episode. My name's Jordan, and I create figure skating videos. And I've had the pleasure of working with Steve in the past. Some of that footage you just saw of our last collaboration. So without further ado, let's introduce Mr. Steve Wheeler. Hi, Steve.
Hey.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I'm the performer, the magician in Magic on Ice, but I was also the creator, and I'm the producer of the show. So our show has it's a very unique show. It's unlike any other show anywhere in the world because it combines big scale theatrical magic illusions with world class figure skating. So we have done the show all over the world, all over North America, Asia, Europe, Middle East, and it's been a fun ride.
I mean, it sure has, as we can see from that video. And I would say, like, how we know each other is this combination of your incredible international sensation of a show and my propensity to try to travel all over the world, filming the coolest figure skating I've
Right,
ever seen.
right, right,
It brought us together in Mexico City last
right,
summer,
right,
where I got to meet you for the first time and film a couple of your shows down in Mexico City.
right. Yeah,
So
that was a great experience working with you.
thank you. And uh, just another way that artists collab is I didn't even have to do any editing for the video. You knew exactly what you wanted from me, and I
Right.
just got to show up with my camera and enjoy the
Yep.
show.
Great.
So let's talk about a little bit more about what what created Magic on Ice. I mean, it's a
Right.
show that combines magic and figure skating, like you said. But what kind of led to that idea? It's such a unique combination, especially for someone like
Yeah.
you who has so many
Yeah.
roles on it.
Yeah. I get asked this question all the time because it is something kind of unusual, you know. So, I first started performing magic when I was really young, when I was 10 years old. You know, just doing shows in my garage for the kids in the neighborhood, and then I became more serious about it, and I entered some magic competitions, and I did very well. I won some of those, and I actually turned professional, started doing professional shows when I was 12 years old. Um, but at the same time, I was really active in sports, and I especially loved the ice. I loved ice skating, and I loved hockey. And and then as a teenager, I got accepted into a theater arts training program at the Old Globe Theater in San Diego. The Old Globe's one of the top theaters in the country. A lot of Broadway shows will first open at the Old Globe Theater before they premiere the show on Broadway. So it was a really cool place, a great opportunity for me to learn everything about theater arts. And so I trained there 2 hours a day, 5 days a week for 2 years straight, and learned everything about theater arts during that time. You know, scenic design and construction, lighting design, which I loved, and a lot about movement. You know, we did dance classes, we did stage combat and improv. So it was during that time that I got the idea for Magic on Ice to create a Magic on Ice act, like a 7 or 8 minute act. So
When you were a teenager.
yeah,
Sorry,
when I was
that's
just
awesome.
just a teenager. So I took I took the magic and I decided to place it on the ice so you would get all that speed and the power and the excitement and the beauty that ice gives you, and create something that nobody's ever seen before, and then add my theater background, and have big rock concert lighting, and present it the way you would present a dramatic theatrical production. So once I decided to do that, I was all in. I said, this is what I want to do. I really think this could be something successful. I didn't know. I just, it was my gut feeling. So I started training every day with figure skating coaches in San Diego and in Los Angeles. And then eventually, by the time I graduated from high school, when I was 18 years old, I was offered a 6-month contract to perform my little 7-minute Magic on Ice act in a big ice show in Japan. And that was awesome. And it led to a long-term contract with Ice Capades performing in North America. So I traveled, we pretty much performed in every city in the United States and Canada, all the big cities, all the little small cities. And we performed in the big arenas in all of those cities. And it gave me a chance to work with the best figure skaters in the world. The show always featured, national, world, and Olympic champions as the headliners in the show. So that was a great experience for me. I ended up doing that for 7 years, and during that time, my act grew from 7 minutes to 8, 10, 12, eventually, 15 minutes. So that's how the whole Magic on Ice concept began.
Wow, I'm just like trying to picture teenage you like with your 7 minute Magic on Ice show. That's
Yeah.
a lot. I mean, for a skating routine, that's a long routine.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It
to
took a long time, but I was dead set on it, and I really thought it could become something. And luckily it worked out for me because it was an awful lot of work. I probably, if I would have known beforehand how difficult it would be and how much work I would have to put into it, I probably would have said, no, no, I'll do something
no.
else. Yeah.
Ah. How soon until you were like when you did that 7 minute act, was it just you holding the whole seven
No,
minutes?
no, no. I had other skaters in the act as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, that's I mean, it's it's hard because I'm sure no one here has seen one of your shows, but my first impression upon watching it was that this was like a real skating show. This wasn't just
Right,
magic
right.
transformed to
And
the ice.
and
It
and
felt like,
yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because so many people, when they hear, oh, Magic on Ice, well, maybe it's just a magic show, and they just kind of walk around on the ice, and it has nothing to do with the ice. And my idea from the beginning was always, if you're going to do a show on ice, use the ice to your advantage. Don't bring a carpet out and stand on the carpet on the ice and do the
oh
show, but
yeah.
but incorporate the skating and make it a true skating show.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the opportunities you've given some of these skaters, I see some of the best skaters in the industry
Yeah,
working on your show.
yeah, we're
Um,
really proud of that.
yeah, like so I wanted to ask also, figure skaters, you have, they're show skaters, they're competitive skaters. Um, how did you manage to teach skaters how to do magic on ice?
Um, well, it's been a process over the years. In those early years of doing the act, they would do smaller roles, and then as we became much more involved in the ice show business, and had a more thorough understanding of it, then we could step up the choreography and involve them in the choreography and the magic, and we knew how far we could push them.
I mean, I would imagine that compared to a musician's level of discipline, like there's we're we're capable of working very hard, but the things a magician has to be able to do, I mean, it takes a lifetime of experience.
Right. Well, some of the most difficult technical things I do myself. I don't expect somebody else to do that. And and some of those will be a very long process to learn one illusion, that you have to do it over and over and work with your skates on off the ice with the prop. And you get beat up, you get bruised, you cut yourself, and it's not a lot of fun. But if I'm doing it to myself, it's not so bad. Than if I'm expecting other people to do that.
Right. That actually brings me to a question of like, what is the rehearsal process like for a show like this? Do you have to spend a lot of time on the ice? Is there a lot of time spent in prep, off of the ice, in warehouses? I just want to know more about like the what it takes.
Um, it's a long process to create a number, for the show. Um, Typically, to create a number for the show, you start first with the inspiration. What's the number about? And that can come from anything, from anywhere. A piece of music or a work of art, or even sometimes a window display or a music video or something will spark an idea. And then if we're going to do a magic illusion and skating number, then the next thing is to create that illusion. And so I'll sit down with Tracy, my wife, who's the co-producer of the show, and we'll decide, all right, what is the effect that we want the audience to experience? What's the storyline to this? And once we come up with that, then I need to decide how that's going to work. What's the method magically to do that? So I'll research the history of magic, and oftentimes we'll take several magic principles and combine them to create a brand new effect. And then from there, we will make a full scale mock-up of the prop to make sure it actually works and looks like we are envisioning. And then with our builders here in Vegas, they'll begin constructing the illusion. Tracy will then take the music and go on the ice and start working on the choreography, what all the skating cast will do, how it's going to be staged. I'll start working on the lighting design. And then when the prop is finished being built, we'll work in the warehouse with our skates on in the prop to make sure everything works okay. And many times we have to, tear it apart, rebuild things and tweak it because it's a brand new effect. It's never been done before. So then the final product, process to get to the final product is to then bring in the skaters, teach them the number, the choreography, rehearse it, and present it for the audience. So that's a pretty long process. That takes usually 4 to 6 months, even longer, just for one number in the show, which is 3 or 4 minutes long. So it's a long
Wow.
process. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I kind of want to skip ahead for a second to what it looks like behind the scenes at one of your shows. We have a video that Ben's going to bring up of your show in Mexico City, and some of that
Right.
behind the scenes footage.
Great.
Salud, welcome to Mexico.
This is CNN.
The huge star in
Son unas
illusionism around the
superestrellas en
world.
cuanto
Show para toda la familia. Seguramente ahora.
We love Mexico. We love the Mexican people.
entretenimiento, que es la parte de magia y también
Thank you.
se nos
Este tremendo espectáculo. Felicidades, congratulations.
Amazing. I mean, I felt like I just watched a movie. Um,
Well, thanks so much of your beautiful footage there.
Thank you. I mean,
When I see this, it reminds me all the time. People ask me, they're like, "Oh, I knew you're a magician, and I knew you had this magic show, but I didn't know there was so much involved in putting on the show." And they'll ask me, so how did you get started producing shows? How did you go from a magician to producing shows? But it's actually it's actually kind of a funny story. I started doing it when I was 13 years old. Was the first time I produced my own show. Um, I guess I was too young to understand I probably shouldn't be doing that. And so growing up in San Diego, there were all these big, beautiful theaters down in Balboa Park near downtown in San Diego. And the theaters were owned by the city. And I started thinking, I wonder if you can rent one of these theaters. So I contacted the city, and sure enough, yeah, the theaters are available to rent. So, I'm 13 years old, and I'm thinking, well, I just did this tour of shows for the U.S. Navy, and I think I'll take the money that I earned from that and rent a theater and see if we can, put on a show. So, I hired the stage crew, and I box office staff and ushers and, lights and sound, hired some dancers. We printed tickets and sent out press releases. And, the pre-sales for it was pretty good. But I also knew down in the park on the weekend, there's thousands of people. So I was hoping, we might get some walk up from it. And as it turned out, we had fantastic walk up for the show, and we ended up selling out the show. So I was able to cover all of my expenses, pay everyone, make a little profit. And at that time, at 13 years old, I was hooked. And I just kept repeating that over and over as a teenager, and adapting it a bit. I would go to schools, to high schools and colleges, and they would agree to provide their venue free of charge and do the advertising. And we would produce the show and present the show, and we'd agree upon a 50-50 split, which worked great for everybody. And again, so then I repeated that over and over and over. So later on, when I wanted to transition from an act to producing a show, ice show, it was somewhat natural for me, and it was an easy transition, considering just because of all that experience that I started when I was too stupid to know I shouldn't do that when I'm 13 years old.
I mean, I think but that's something that you found your love at 13,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you found your niche before you
yeah.
turned 18. I think
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's
I know
really
I'm very
important.
lucky. I am very lucky that to do that, because sometimes it takes people, a lifetime to figure out what it is they really want to do.
Um, yeah, I actually, you mentioned your wife Tracy, because
Yeah,
both you and her are very, like, you're the main characters of the show.
right,
And I
right.
personally, I find that because my wife skates too, and
Yeah,
we've done a lot together as well in the competitive and dance world.
right.
Why don't you tell just briefly a little bit more about Tracy and how she became involved with you and Magic on Ice?
Okay, okay. Um, so, I mentioned that I toured with Ice Capades, and so it was during that time touring with Ice Capades when I was doing my act that she was one of the skaters in the show. There was, 50 skaters in the show, and so we met there. And first we started going out, and I wanted to keep it personal. I didn't want her involved in the business side of things. I thought it would be a distraction. But eventually I thought, she would be really good in this. So we started working her into the act, and then it turned out we worked fantastic together. We never get in any fights. Do you have a problem with your wife when you work together? Is it hard or is it easy for you? Because I
Um,
find people have both.
I'm still in the same stage when it comes to the work I do for On Ice Perspectives. Like we just
Yeah.
started traveling together for during the jobs,
Okay. Okay.
before everything shut down. But I'm asking you this because I'm leaning towards the same way a little bit.
Right. Well, it just depends on your personalities, and ours just happen to work in a way that we work together fantastically, and there's never any issues, and we really enjoy it. So I'm glad we made that transition.
Yeah, I mean there's definitely something special about the tricks that she's able to do because you can tell
Right.
that she
Right.
has, you and her have probably spent so much time working
Right.
on those
Right.
acts together.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where if you just try to put a show together and take somebody and teach them real quick, you're not going to get to that same level. You might be able to do some very simple things, but um, some of the more advanced illusions take a lot of work and dedication, and you really have to
Hmm.
want to do this for a long time to make it worth all of the effort.
Hmm. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so the next section that we want to get into, actually, we've been talking about this show and we've seen all of these previews and trailers and the process behind it. But I think now is a good time to sit back, relax, and enjoy. Well, before we watch it, I should mention this is one of the more skating-centric numbers of the
Right.
show. Again, a lot of people come to this thinking that it's just a magic show on ice, and then they come and they see the magician who can really skate, and then he has skaters like Tracy who are very, very good at the tricks that they're performing.
Right.
And then you bring in these A-level show skaters who not only provide such a great background for the really high-end magic tricks, but then they come and they do a piece that just completely throws you for a loop. You go, well, I mean, that was just a magical performance.
Right.
Combined with, I have to say, your excellent lighting design.
Thanks.
Something that skating shows often can't. They find very challenging is good lighting on a show. So
Right. Right.
I had the pleasure of getting to film this number on the ice. And we have to talk about your ice in a second. But let's
Okay.
enjoy this beautiful number to The Sound of Silence, which is
I believe this is just a portion of the number, not the full number, but you'll get an idea of this is Wesley Campbell skating this, and it's just we have people say that number brought me to tears, which is just awesome to hear.
all right. Let's play it.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision softly creeping left its scenes while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone. Neath the halo of a street lamp, I turned my collar to the cold and damp. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. People writing songs and voices
So cool.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, yeah, so that was just one of those numbers that you included in your show that just took you straight out of where you were and transplanted you, like you really felt like you were watching a real high-end skating show.
Yeah.
That just happened to also be a really high-end magic show.
Yeah.
There was one thing I forgot to ask about, and this is one of my personal questions, which is I want to know more about your ice. Like we're filming down in Mexico City in a massive coliseum, but that is not an ice arena.
Right.
You have something very special with the show, which is you can go and perform anywhere because you bring your own ice with you.
Yep. So we have done a lot of shows where in fact, some of them have been very long-term engagements. We'll, in a theater somewhere, we'll come in and we'll customize the ice to the exact size of the theater and turn it on, make the ice, and like we had a show in Guam, and the show kept getting extended and extended, and we ran there for 4 years. So we came in, installed the ice, and 4 years later we took our ice out. But obviously they didn't have ice built into a theater in Guam, and we've done that, all over the world in theaters, and most recently we've been doing arena tours. And some arenas in North America have ice because of hockey, so they'll have an NHL team, and we can use their ice. But other times, like we did in Mexico City, where you joined us, is they don't have ice, so we bring in our own ice, and we have all of the equipment, the chillers, the ice making equipment, and we can make a custom rink basically in any situation, anywhere that there's a flat level surface, and it can be indoors or outdoors, and put on a nice show.
That is magic right there. Just walking in and seeing, like, they just put an ice rink down here.
Yeah.
And they built it in just a couple of days.
Yep. We usually can put it in between 24 and 48 hours. We go from an empty building to a rink that's ready to skate on.
Amazing.
Yeah. It does provide a lot of headaches, I'll tell you, just because of the nature of what it is. It would sure be easier if I was, a mime or a juggler or something, and I didn't have all of this equipment, and now an ice rink and everything. But it does enable us to perform pretty much in any venue around the world.
That makes me want to just take a trip out to Las Vegas and come, like, maybe we'll think of some sort of a collaboration we can do with a video and skating.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
We should do that. Yeah, definitely. Hey, I'm sitting here with nothing to do with COVID,
I know. I'm sure. Well, I was asking you earlier, like, what has been. Well, let me save this question for last, because we have one more video, and this is often the answer to the question of which. When you ask your audience later, like, what do you think is their favorite number? And I'll let you answer that through the video.
Here it is.
Fantastic. Amazing.
Awesome.
Everything was just amazing.
Amazing.
It just amazing. I love it.
I was just so amazed. I love it. I couldn't keep my eyes off it.
You go ice skating and you're like, what the heck? How can these people do all this stuff?
For me, I think it was the blades coming down and the person disappeared. And I have no idea how that happened.
My favorite was the flat surface that he brought them up out, and the lady came out of him, and it was
My favorite thing was the little tube things. It was interesting to watch, especially the little one.
That was my favorite part too.
When the guy did the back. My favorite part was when she was in the ice and she came out of the ice.
We thought it was great.
I love the show. It was amazing.
The show was amazing.
Above 10.
very, very awesome.
Did you come see the show again?
Yes.
They was cross country. I just might want to go cross country just to go watch it again. It was that amazing. I really enjoyed it.
I agree with her. I want to hang out on a tour a little bit more.
Come on, we're ready. Let's go.
Yeah, those sets and everything. I mean, when you say it takes 4 to 6 months just to build one routine, that sounds about right, because those, you can see it in the video actually, the quality of everything that you're presenting, and you feel it in real life. And you may not be able to see that clearly in real life, but you feel it, and the smoke and the sounds, even the smells of the fire. It's so immersive.
Great.
So yeah, I guess I should wrap up with just like one of the most relevant questions of our time, which is what's been keeping you busy this year? Because I know since March there's hasn't been another show for anyone.
Yeah. We were getting ready to go out on a tour, and then it got canceled once COVID hit, and at first here in Las Vegas they shut down all the ice rinks, and we couldn't even train and skate. But then since then they've opened them up, and we're on the ice all of the time. They have a brand new beautiful arena that's about 4 minutes from where we live here in Las Vegas, so it's great. We get out there on the ice all of the time, and then for our business, with the show, we're able to go in, and I've been redesigning some of the lighting, making just small changes to that. We changed out some music for some numbers, and a big project we had 2 warehouses here in town, and we finally consolidated it all into one warehouse, and it was just a big project that I've been putting off for years, but thanks to COVID, now I only have one warehouse that I have to pay for instead of 2.
I mean, you're storing a show and the venue basically with your ice rink.
Yeah, the ice rink takes up a lot of storage space. Yeah.
Well, it has been absolutely amazing to spend time talking with you.
Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah.
And watching these videos, I know some of that video shot was mine, but you did all the editing, and I just I want you to edit all of my videos. That was just
send it over.
Great. Thank you so much, Steve Wheeler. Thank you, Magic on Ice.
Thanks
Show.
so much.
Thank you, Ben and Steve Love from Love Productions, and everyone involved with the Artists on Lockdown series. I didn't even realize, but I don't know if Ben planned this, but my shirt matches this beautiful background so well. So I was just thinking that this is such a great show to bring artists together in these times, and I'm sure it will continue, even when we're all out of lockdown again.
Yeah.
But thank you everybody for watching, and I hope you learned a lot, and I guess this is our farewell. So let's say one last bye, and thank you for everybody for watching and enjoying.
All right. Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.